Greetings friends, welcome back to the channel if you have been here before, or welcome if it is your first time visiting. Today I'm going to be bringing you another shorter reading, but this is one that has been on my mind ever since we basically put a pin in the Karen Read content, because the case in the trial is over. It ended in a hung jury, and now we're all sort of like hanging in abeyance. I feel like we're all representative in the Hanged Man with this one. But today I want to look into, with the help of this deck, the Tarot of the Divine. I don't use this one all that much, but occasionally I'm told to refer to this. And I want to take a look at what is happening right now with the O'Keefe family, in particular with Paul O'Keefe, because every now and again I hear or see something online about him and his continued dogged determination to go after Karen Read and to just double down on his feelings of, I want to say, just hatred toward her, and his unyielding point of view that she was the person responsible for ending his brother John's life. Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. With all of the evidence that I felt the prosecution did not have in comparison to the professionals that the defense put on the stand to talk about if it would even be physically possible for John to have perished the way the prosecution is trying to claim he did. Like, I don't get how anyone could just set that aside and dig in their heels and be like, nope, she's guilty. So where is this coming from? Where is this coming from with respect to Paul O'Keefe and perhaps even Mrs. O'Keefe? Because I feel as though in that family dynamic, those two, their energy is just very, very stagnant around this point of view, that they are not willing to relent. They are unwilling to see it any other way. And I have my suspicions as to why that is, guys. I have even received a message or two from my guides when I've asked about this in particular. But I did want to look at it again with you through a tarot deck here, and, just see what all the universe wants us to know about, because I just feel as though something is not adding up. All right, so we have like 3 or 4, it looks like, maybe 5. Oh no, maybe even more. Let's see what we had come out here, guys. Okay, this was the first one, and it's a reversed Ace of Swords in reverse. So we're going to read it in reverse. And then the 3 of Wands, the 3 of Swords. Okay, let's do it this way. I'm big about setting up my board space just the right way, if you haven't noticed as of yet. Okay, 6 cards altogether. The 7 of Coins, just one so far in the reverse position. The 5 of Swords, a lot of mental energy happening here. Oh my goodness, and the 7 of Swords. Well, this makes sense to me because I want to look at what is going on in their mind space. So we are in our thoughts here with these cards. Guys, this is just crazy to me. Like, my spirit guides, they just never fail to impress me, because my first question was like, what's going on with them and their train of thought and what is happening? And the Ace of Swords coming up in the reverse position talks about something being stunted, stagnant. The Swords is a frame of mind, a thought pattern. And typically in this position, we would see this as a new thought or new idea, a new frame of mind, willing to see something in another light. This way, however, and remember, this was the first card that fell right out. This way, we are receiving confirmation from the universe that no, neither Paul O'Keefe or his mom or anyone in that side of the family that feels that Karen is guilty, they are not willing to see any other narrative. They are not willing to embrace it or accept it or even consider it. Okay, so in order to understand how we arrived here, or how they arrived here, with this unyielding unwillingness to see things any other way than the way they are seeing them right now, to this digging in your heels energy, this doubling down energy, we have to understand what came before. So we've got the Three of Wands beside the Three of Swords. This Three of Wands energy usually talks about the creation of something new with passion at its core. And we see this woman climbing a ladder. And what does this have to do with the O'Keefe family? Well, they were in witness of the relationship as it was in the beginning, in the initial phases. So they were watching things unfold basically between John and Karen. And not to say that they were like a voyeur or anything to that effect, but they were sort of watching, and I'm hearing grading to a degree, how things were going between the couple. I'm also hearing that there was a time when Paul O'Keefe may have been fond of Karen Reed, or that he wanted to feel that she was being true and that she was a good fit for his brother. And there was also a time that John's mother was trying to embrace Karen and the idea of her in their lives. But I am not convinced that these feelings that they tried to adopt toward Karen ever really grew into something that was legitimate. Because if it had been, they would not be so willing to have this stance that they have right now. They would not be holding so tight to their resolve at this moment if they felt even the slightest bit of connection, affection, or any sort of way about Karen that was positive, okay? Because we've got the Three of Swords right on the heels of the Three of Wands, and the Three of Swords, very simply put, is betrayal. It is that appearance of a broken heart, of a vow having been broken, of someone having betrayed another individual. And again, because this is in the Three of Swords, I'm getting that energy that this is John and Karen, but someone or someone's watching what is going on, witnessing something that they perceive to have been done in the wrong. And or simply put, they felt early on, they being Paul O'Keefe and his mother, perhaps Mr. O'Keefe, the father, I don't know. But these individuals were grading, as I said, they were watching what was going on with John and Karen, and they began to recognize what they felt to be deceptive behavior. Behavior that was not truthful and was not going to be good for John. So that's where the Three of Swords comes in, okay? So they were feeling this heartbreak on John's behalf. Now, this, I'm hearing, did not come. This is before the events that claimed his life. So this actuality came, I'm hearing, even 3 months prior to that night at Fairview, which is interesting to me. So I don't know whether or not they were just playing nice with Karen up until that evening, but something had shifted in their mindset and their mode of belief around Karen, and they were not feeling it. And that was going on for several months ahead of the evening that John perished. So it would stand to reason that they were going into the taking apart of what happened that evening with a slanted point of view. They were already leaning against her, is what I'm hearing. And there was some precipitating event that they were privy to. Now, this could have been Okay, I'm hearing this could have been in a conversation that John may have shared with his brother, Paul, with reference to some sort of an issue that John and Karen were having that presented a problem. And I feel as though John was like confiding in his brother about this, but he was doing so innocently, and yet it caused Paul to have ill regard toward Karen sort of earlier on than anyone knew of. And that's what I'm hearing there with the Three of Swords. Now this card, my friends, the Seven of Coins or Seven of Pentacles, this is what I'm most intrigued by. Well, this one too, because we've got two sevens here and they're both in that deceptive mode, especially this one. But we'll get to that. Don't worry, we will get to that. The Seven of Coins talks about certain individuals, and in this case, 7 of them, that immediately I'm hearing, approached the O'Keefe family, prepared to groom them. That is the word that came into my mind. That 7 individuals within the McAlbert clan took it upon themselves to instantly, immediately engage with the O'Keefe family and to begin to set fire to whatever they wanted to make disappear. They wanted to set a narrative. They wanted to build a new narrative. They wanted to make something appear to be one way, their way. And they went at this with flames of fury. Not that they were angry necessarily, but this was the drive that they went after the O'Keefes with. So the Seven of Swords talks to me about a false narrative that was being sold to the O'Keefe family from certain members of the McAlbert clan or crew who decided that it would be beneficial for them to have the O'Keefes in their pocket. Friends, please do remember that the information contained within this video is based on personal opinion and interpretation of messages delivered via my guides. Everything is alleged and not facts proven in a court of law. Thank you. And so, come hell or high water is what I'm hearing. They were going to woo them. They were going to groom them. They were going to say whatever they needed to say to convince the O'Keefes that they, meaning the McAlbert people, were not in the wrong. That it was Karen who had her face to hide. It was Karen's wrongdoing that claimed the life of their loved one. Okay, it was Karen. And this is a narrative, this is a story that they built right out of the gate, right on the heels of that evening, of what went on that evening, what truly went on that evening for John. So they went at it with like guns blazing, with everything in their power and might, with every trick in the book is what I'm hearing, to convince the O'Keefes that not only was Karen Reed guilty, but that they were innocent. They were on the O'Keefe's side. They would never want to see harm come to John O'Keefe. After all, they would have the O'Keefe family believe that John was one of them. John was never one of them, guys. Absolutely never one of them. Now we've got the Five of Swords here. This is that giving in and succumbing to grief and to the narrative. This is the O'Keefe family accepting and trying to come to terms with the false narrative that they had been sold, the bill of goods, the story that the McAlberts weaved, the tall tales. And this is reflective of them believing that Karen Reed needs to be the one to hide her face in shame. She's the one, they feel, that wielded the blade that caused the injuries, the fatal injuries to their son and or brother. Because they, again, this comes right on the heels of the Seven of Coins, guys, because they were buying into this. They were buying into it with every cent they had, with every good sense, with every sensibility that they had. Lock, stock, and barrel. But Seven of Coins, the Seven of Wands. Look at the bookends here around the false narrative. The Seven of Swords, simply, and in every reading, in every deck, is the card of deception. It is deception, guys. The Seven of Swords is a con. It's the greatest and most insidious act of dishonesty, of playing with people's emotions, with their minds. I mean, just look at this. We've got this, looks like a wolf. We've got all of these swords here, these blades, that look of being out for one purpose only, for what is going to serve them best. And they knew, this cunning group, again, 7 people are jumping out here. I know we've always talked about the McAlbert 8, but I feel like 7 of them were more inclined to be pushing this narrative, and the female members were right there in the kitchen with the recipe, with the blend, with the cocktail, stoking the fires, insisting to Paul O'Keefe and his mother, hey, we are safe, offering hugs, offering a hand, a shoulder to cry on, all in the vein of sweet, self-serving deception. Crazy, absolutely crazy that these cards came out. This deck is insanely responsive, but this reading is absolutely wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below, but this just confirms what I have suspected all along with why they have yet to be, why the O'Keefe family, largely and mostly, has yet to show any signs of believing the defense's case or believing anything that Karen Reed or her team is saying. And that is because this brainwashing, this grooming has gone on for so long, for several years since this happened to John O'Keefe, from day one. And it has been insidious. The McAlberts have gotten into every possible crevice, to every nook and cranny of the O'Keefe family, into their lives, into their thoughts, into their heart space. They have worked the O'Keefes like a fiddle, like a finely tuned fiddle. And they got them exactly where they want them. And I don't see right now that that's ever going to change, at least not at this moment in time. Wow. Alrighty, guys, so this probably ran longer than I intended it to, but oh my goodness, the messages were just flooding into my mind. I mean, these cards could not be any more direct, and I felt it like just bubbling over inside of myself. The dishonesty, the way the McAlberts have played the O'Keefe family. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here, for spending some of your time with me today. Please leave a comment down below if you have a suggestion for another reading that you would like to see me do with reference to the Reed case and or any other. Leave that as well in the comment section, and do stay tuned for more. Friends, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you have that notification bell clicked and set to all so you don't miss anything that is coming up ahead on the channel. I truly appreciate each and every one of you.